In the good old days 2 months ago, when we were all still enjoying pumpkin spice and autumn leaves, Frozen District deployed an update for House Flipper 2 with new items, a new house in the story mode, and a new community contest with the motto Monster Mansion. And of course I wanted to participate, so I created my own project that now goes by the name of Conspiracy Manor. By the time this video comes online, it's already December and you're all probably putting up snowmen and Santa Clauses in your front yard, while I'm still busy with Halloween. But after this, I'm definitely done with it until next October. I promise. Okay, so the motto was Monster Mansion, and I started to think back and forth between the obvious choices. Werewolves, vampires, ghosts, zombies. But somehow, nothing really got me fully excited. And then, it just hit me. For this contest, I could actually combine two things that I absolutely enjoy. Number one, House Flipper, duh, and conspiracy theories. Honestly guys, I love to watch hours and hours of YouTube videos about flat earth, new world order, fake moon landing, you name it. And then there's a conspiracy theory that fits the model perfectly. Reptilians! For those of you who haven't been on the internet for the last 20 years, the conspiracy theory says that lizard people live among us and they can shapeshift into human form. Sometimes you can identify them when a photo is taken and their lizard eyes are visible on a photo. They can blend perfectly into our society and are usually in social circles with important or influential people where they can manipulate our society and politics. And since reptilians want to disguise themselves and not stand out, it was already clear which style the house would take. It would be more of a pretty house and less blood and gore. Okay, let's build! I had looked at a few inspiration pictures and decided that I wanted the building to be something about 17 to 18 meters. The house would have fit on a small map, which is 20 by 20 meters, but that looked a little bit too cramped for me. And that's why I chose the medium-sized map, which is 40 meters by 40 meters. I made a rough outline on where the building should be located on the site. Since there wasn't enough time to do a large and complicated project, I decided to build a house with two perpendicular A-frames. As soon as I was happy with the position on the area and the layout, I started to build the outer walls and place the roofs. I first tried to place one of the A-frames directly on the ground, but that looked a little bit too compact and would have made the inside feel more like a cabin and not so much like a manor. That's why I drew half-height walls at the sides, onto which I placed the roof. However, this still looked too plain and too much like a farmhouse. I therefore took the shorter A-frame roof and slanted it a bit to make it more unique and interesting. Next up were large window fronts to make the house feel spacious and open. And I wanted these to match the shape of the building, so I assembled triangular window fronts. I hadn't yet decided on the exact floor plan for all the rooms. The pictures I used as a reference also didn't really show how the rooms would be arranged, so I started with the bar as the centerpiece of the house. It is located at the spot where the two parts of the building meet. The staircase to the upper floor was originally supposed to be right along the back of the bar and follow the curved wall, but it would not have been possible to walk up the stairs without the player hitting their head and therefore getting stuck on the ceiling. I had no choice but to make the staircase straight. It didn't look as cleverly arranged, but it worked, and that is what was important to me. Speaking of the upper floor, the plan for the first floor was to have an open bedroom with a ceiling-height bookshelf and an ensuite bathroom. The rest of the first floor area could then be used as an office or a creative space. To separate the rooms, I built ceiling-high walls. At first I thought about building an attic because otherwise I would be wasting so much space towards the ceiling. But then I thought, well, I guess that's what it's like to be rich. You can afford to have just a lot of nice looking empty space in your house. Once the layout for the first floor was complete, I continued with the floor plan for the ground level. I had already decided on a calm living room in the back half of the building. That was going to be a more private room with a low ceiling. I built the kitchen close to the social area so that guests could be served with food without the food having to be carried through the whole house. To make the whole setup even more practical, I added a small serving hatch. Back in the day, these serving hatches really were a thing, and they give the atmosphere that I'm going for here. Then the house had a small dining room, which could also be a cozy little corner for small groups of guests. My plan for the social space next to the bar was to create a seating area with a sofa, a fireplace, and armchairs. But that was kind of boring. In my previous project, I had built a sunken floor in the living room and thought that would make this area much more interesting here too. And the plan worked, if you ask me. When I added just the sofa and a table, the whole place already looked so comfortable to hang out in. To further improve the ambience, I installed indirect lighting under the benches. With a little more decoration, such as stones and plants, the whole thing became a really cozy spot. Last but not least, the Reptilians of course need somewhere to go to make their evil plans and do evil things. I mean, they live secretly among humans and try to take over the world. That should reflect somehow in the house. And where is the best place to carry out these secret conspiracies? In the basement. So I dug one out. The basement would have two rooms. One would be a conference room to discuss flat Earth, just because this is my all-time favorite conspiracy theory. And I choose a conference room because a secret circle of society needs a place where they can sit in a circle. I think that is obvious. After I dug the basement, I set up a few tables in this unfinished brick room to measure whether or not there would be enough space for such a conference room. Since this room is under the ground, it needed some pillars to prevent it from collapsing. Once the general outline of the room was in place, I started to build the details, like the conference table for example. And of course, a room like this also needs impressive lighting, with a flair of world domination. The second conspiracy room was going to be about the conspiracy theories surrounding space and NASA. You know, the whole space doesn't exist, the moon landing was faked, and pictures from space are nothing but CGI. The Apollo 11 moon landing from 1969 is a while back, but it's still a classic. Even though the room I had built is too small to show a film set for depicting an entire planet, I at least wanted to give some sort of indication. I wanted the room to look half finished with blank walls and to consist mainly of green screens. Unfortunately, there is no lunar lander in the House Flipper catalog that I could just pick and put there. At least not yet. Maybe Frozen District might consider a space DLC. If you see this Frozen District, I would totally buy that. After all, part 1 had a moon base to flip too, if I remember this right. Anyhow, I made a lunar lander from bricks, the molding tool and small decorative accessories with the metal texture. Then it was finally time to furnish and decorate. Of all the tasks to do in a house, this is my favorite thing to do. I had already planned a ceiling-high bookshelf for the bedroom. Now I installed the shelves and filled them with books. I decided not to take the individual book items from the catalog, but to work with PNGs that I had cut out beforehand. Then I made some wine racks for the bar. These were all individual shelves, which I painstakingly sorted into place using the transformation tool. And because I like to torture myself, I added wine bottles, which I also arranged item by item using the transformation tool. I didn't show you this, but in the meantime, I had built a small storage room next to the kitchen that I now stocked with food. It's also a hidden shortcut so that you don't have to walk around the bar to get from the entryway to the kitchen. When I was stocking up the shelves with groceries, I took this green bottle among others. And when I put it on a shelf, I saw the name on it. And it said, Lizardo? Lizardo? Lizardo! Oh my god, could that be true? You can bet I put those bottles everywhere in the house. And I left lots of little references to reptilians all over the house, not just there. I hung a picture of the lizard sweating above their bed in the bedroom, and there are pictures of them on the bedside tables and on the shelves, and I also hid some reptilian art in the office. I probably don't need to say this, but of course all images you see me use here were created with AI. The AI also spit out some cute little children's pictures that I put in the living room. I also placed some leaflets and posters in the office for the Halloween party that took place in the house. To my surprise, there were even more little reptile knickknacks in the House Flipper catalog, like these slippers or magnets on the fridge. Finally, a few more signs of a Halloween party. A broken glass here, a shattered bottle there, guests leaving their food everywhere and ruining the host's private belongings. And there you have it, Conspiracy Manor. Okay guys, I'm very late with this video. The contest winners have already been announced. Congratulations to everyone. If you like this video, consider to give it a thumbs up or subscribe if you want.